So when you left us, we were waiting for the truce to expire. Now the good news is the truce has now expired. We have our claim. We can declare war again. Now, it would be very easy and a big mistake to just go, right, brilliant, nothing's changed, let's declare war. Whoa, hold on a second, have a look. If we look, we can see the troop numbers are now a lot more balanced. And that is because Count Thomas here has got 2 kids now, and he's married them off. And he's got alliances from marrying them off. So don't fall into the trap in game of just assuming that the world hasn't changed between you doing things. The world is constantly changing and you should always be aware of this. Now, one option we might want to consider to win this war is to hire mercenaries. But I'm not going to talk about this now because actually what this video is about is, again, rethinking about alliances and thinking about marriages. So we talked before about how marrying off our kids got us our alliance, or one of our kids got an alliance with Mycenopolis here. Well, we have a son since then. So we now have the option of getting another ally by either marrying our son or by marrying our daughter, because she's now spare. Now remember, we don't have any other kids at the moment, so if he dies, she becomes our heir. So one rule you kind of want to think about is if you've only got daughters, or if you've only got one son and then you've got daughters, because the game only lasts as long as your dynasty continues, with Barbara here, if we're going to marry her off, we probably want to go with a matrilineal alliance. That means any children of that alliance, or a matrilineal marriage, sorry, any children of that marriage are going to be of our family, not the father's family. But that's going to limit the quality of the allies we can get, because it might be that people aren't going to want to marry off their own first son to our daughter, because they want their dynasty to continue for their realms. Maybe our option is to marry Barbara off. But actually, before we look at that, there's one more thing we want to look at. Whilst I was playing through the game, for reasons, we lost our wife. That means we're currently unmarried. Now, on the one hand, that's positive. It means we're not potentially going to have lots of kids that are going to get in the way of the kids we've got. But we're young enough, we probably do want to marry again and see what happens. And looking at our marriage options, we can see, well, first off, let's go by alliance power. We can see that actually one of our alliance power options is here. Now, this is the person we're already allied to. So, why would we want to do that again? Well, she's got an inheritable trait. These are the traits that are in green on these characters. If I click on her, you'll see it. So she's got various traits on here. She's 16, she's also a drunkard. But what she does have is she's robust. And that means that is an inheritable trait. Her children, or our children if we have them with her, may inherit a variation on that trait, which would give them boosts. It is a congenital trait. So even though we're already allied to this person here, we may want to consider marrying her. But let's first look, because you're always doing this kind of mental evaluation, what's the benefits here? Let's have a quick look and see if there's anyone else that pops in on this list that looks decent for us. Well, not if we want to get alliances, because we're sorting by relevance, we sort by alliance power, we're not seeing a lot there. So maybe actually, let's see what our daughter could get us. Could she get us a different alliance? Could she get us a good one if we went matrilineal? Because remember, we want to keep her in the family. What alliance power can we get? Who can we ally with? Well, one of the ones here is the Duchy of Anatolikon. Well, let's have a look at the Duchy of Anatolikon. Well, they're part of the Byzantine Empire. That's good. He's got plenty of troops, so that's good. He's not in any other wars. Actually, that's a good marriage for us. That's a good alliance to have. We don't want too many alliances because we don't want to get dragged into other people's wars, but that's a pretty good alliance to have. So actually, it's probably worth us marrying Barbara to one of his sons. And in matrilineal terms, he will happily do it. So we're going to marry probably Melisanos here, if he's on the list. Well, he doesn't seem to want to marry, but he'll marry Niketos off. So Niketos is going to get betrothed, and because it's got this symbol, it means we're going to get an alliance again to Barbara. And because he's of equal rank, Barbara's going to get better prestige out of this. But because it's matrilineal, if it comes down to it and she has to inherit on our behalf, let's say our son dies in an accident, at least we know the game is going to continue because those kids will be of our line. So we're going to send that proposal. There we go. We now have another alliance. We now have 2 alliances. Well, that means if we were now to declare war on Dyrrachian, we've got the numbers to win it. Now, before we declare that war, we're still unmarried here, and we need to think seriously about what we want to do. We don't really need any more alliances now. So actually, maybe what we really want to do is find someone just with really good traits. Like that is a thing we might now just want to do. So in this search box, I'm going to start, because I think the ones you kind of want to start building in early are things that are inheritable in the genius trait line. And it's worth us looking here and saying, is there anyone here who would potentially be quite useful? County of Yaboa, not the worst thing in the world. And she is a genius. If we marry her, there is a chance that our kid gets either genius or one of the lesser variants of genius, which are intelligent or quick. And you can see the stat boosts that gives. It's a really handy trait to have. And getting that into our bloodline early will be really quite useful. But the only other thing I'm just going to have a look at first before we take that, I think she would potentially be a very good marriage for us, is we're going to look for intelligent, which is the one down from it, and we're just going to see if anyone else around here is good and has good traits. Now, first things to spot here is we've got Amalia here. She's 32, so she's still got a few more years left of childbearing. Like, you can have children up to 44. She's got 2 inheritable traits. So that's more chances. Like, the kid's not going to inherit genius, because you can, at this stage, unless if intelligent people marry intelligent people, and that might boost up to genius. She can, but if I'm not a genius, so she's going to potentially just give our kids intelligent. But she does have 2 traits. So one thing we might want to think about is, do we want to marry Amalia here rather than the other one? Now, if we do, we're actually going to lose a bunch of prestige because she's lower ranked than us. And remembering that we need prestige to declare wars and to call in our allies, it's not enough, I think, to make that marriage more valuable to us potentially than the one we looked at before. So the last thing we're just going to do is check one other trait, and that's going to be beautiful. Because we're just going to see if there's anyone beautiful around that's worth marrying, because that is another trait that would potentially be worth marrying in. So that gives us Giselle here, who's 39, so she's coming to the end of her childbearing years, or Pernell. No alliance options. Well, how much would we lose from marrying her? Well, minus 200 again, so let's not do that. We're making that calculation because we know we've got a couple of wars to fight, and we know we're going to have to spend prestige on something else. So I think, actually, for our character personally, that genius that was hovering around there is actually a pretty good option. Because remembering that they're a count, we don't lose anything. They're only 1 rank below us. So actually, that's a good marriage for us. It's only a betrothal because she's 15, but when she comes of age, we'll be able to marry her. So we're going to do that. So that's set us up to marry and given us the potential to inherit some traits. So next up, we will fight this war. But that seems a good place to stop this video. War coming next, now that we've got the allies to do it.